They told you this world rewards goodness. They told you honesty wins, kindness comes back, doing the right thing pays off. But look around. The most ethical people are exhausted, the most honest ones are ignored, and the kindest are often used, then discarded. This isn't bad luck, it's design. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago, and he wrote it down before anyone dared say it out loud. Here is the brutal truth. The world does not punish evil, it punishes weakness, and goodness, when unprotected, looks exactly like weakness. From childhood, you are trained to be predictable. Tell the truth, play fair, trust others, assume good intentions. That training makes you easy to read. And in a world of competition, being readable is the same as being vulnerable. Machiavelli understood something most good people never question. Morality does not equal survival. The rules that keep society stable are not the same rules that allow individuals to rise within it. That is where the conflict begins. Good people follow moral rules as if the world will reward them for it. Powerful people follow reality. And reality doesn't care what should happen. It only rewards what works. This is why good people are often shocked when they are betrayed. They assumed shared values. But values are not universal. They are strategic. Machiavelli warned rulers, if you act good in a world where others do not, you will be destroyed by those willing to do what you refuse. That doesn't mean be evil. It means don't be naive. Goodness without boundaries is self-sacrifice disguised as virtue, and the world happily accepts the sacrifice. Look at workplaces. The honest employee takes on extra work. The manipulative one takes credit. The honest one waits patiently. The manipulative one negotiates aggressively. Who rises? Not the better person, the better strategist. Machiavelli wasn't cruel. He was honest. He didn't say good people deserve to lose. He said they lose because they misunderstand the game. They play by moral rules in a strategic arena. That mismatch is fatal. Another brutal reality. Good people seek fairness. Power seeks advantage. Fairness requires mutual agreement. Advantage only requires opportunity. And opportunity doesn't care if you are kind. This is why being nice rarely creates respect. Respect comes from boundaries, from the ability to say no, to withhold, to act when necessary. Good people hesitate. They don't want to hurt feelings. They don't want conflict. They don't want to be that person. Machiavelli knew hesitation is where power is lost, because decisive people reshape the environment while kind people adapt to it. And adaptation feels moral until it becomes submission. The world does not remember who was nicest. It remembers who acted at the right moment. So why are good people taught that suffering is noble? Because systems need compliant people. People who follow rules even when others don't. People who feel guilt for asserting themselves. Machiavelli exposed this illusion. He wrote for rulers, not dreamers, and his message was uncomfortable. If you want to survive, you must understand how power actually moves, not how you wish it would. This is not a call to cruelty, it's a call to awareness, because goodness with awareness is strength. Goodness without it is a liability. Good people believe something deeply comforting. If my intentions are pure, the outcome will be fair. This belief feels moral, it feels safe, and it is one of the most dangerous lies you can carry in a competitive world. Machiavelli rejected intentions, not because he hated morality, but because he understood power. Power doesn't respond to what you meant to do. It responds to what you did. And outcomes don't ask whether you were trying to be good. They only measure effect. This is where good people fall behind. They explain themselves. They justify actions. They expect understanding. But explanation is a language only the moral listen to. Power listens to results. A mistake made with good intentions is still a mistake. A weak move made kindly is still weakness. Machiavelli warned leaders, "You will be judged by outcomes, not by your heart." This is why good people are often shocked by how quickly they are replaced. They worked hard, they stayed loyal, they sacrificed. But loyalty without leverage is invisible. The world doesn't reward effort, it rewards impact. Another brutal truth. Good people assume fairness is automatic. They believe if they play fair, others will respond in kind. But fairness is not a law of nature, it's an agreement. And agreements collapse the moment incentives change. Machiavelli observed this in politics, but it applies everywhere. In business, in relationships, in leadership. People don't betray you because they're evil. They betray you because opportunity appears. Good people feel betrayed because they expected consistency. Powerful people expect change. That expectation keeps them prepared. Good people also mistake being liked for being safe. They avoid conflict to maintain harmony. But harmony without respect is fragile. The moment pressure appears, likability disappears. Machiavelli understood this clearly. People support you when it costs them nothing. When it costs something, they support themselves. That is not cruelty. That is human nature. Good people suffer because they personalize outcomes. They think, "I wasn't good enough." But the problem wasn't goodness, it was strategy. They were moral in a system that rewards leverage. Another reason intentions fail. They slow action. Good people overthink. They worry about consequences. They consider feelings. They hesitate. Meanwhile, decisive people act, and action reshapes reality. Later, good people say, "It's not fair." But fairness doesn't reverse momentum. Machiavelli didn't admire ruthless people. He admired effective ones. Effectiveness requires clarity. Clarity requires accepting that the world does not protect the innocent. It only reacts to strength. This is why good people are often exploited. They signal predictability. Predictability invites control. When others know you won't retaliate, won't refuse, won't escalate, they push further. Not because they hate you, but because they can. And here's the hardest truth. The world doesn't need you to be good. It needs you to be useful. Useful people survive. Visible people rise. Silent, compliant goodness disappears. But this is not the end of the story, because Machiavelli did not argue that goodness must be abandoned. He argued it must be armed.
The fear of being dangerous. Good people fear one thing deeply: being seen as dangerous. They don't want to look aggressive, selfish, manipulative. So they soften themselves. They lower their voice. They compromise early. They apologize too fast. Machiavelli saw this as a fatal error. Because the world does not protect the harmless, it respects the capable. This is the third brutal truth. If people don't believe you can hurt them, they don't respect your goodness. Good people want to be trusted. Powerful people know trust comes after deterrence. Fear and respect are not enemies. Fear establishes boundaries. Respect lives inside those boundaries. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must be capable of cruelty, even if he chooses restraint, because restraint only matters when there is an alternative. Kindness without the capacity for force is ignored. This is why good people get interrupted, overruled, taken for granted. They signal that conflict will be avoided at all costs, and when others know the cost is zero, they push. Good people also misunderstand danger. They think danger means violence. Machiavelli meant leverage, reputation. the ability to say no and mean it, the willingness to withdraw support, the courage to let consequences fall. Danger is not about harming others, it's about not being harmless. Good people often reveal all their cards. They explain intentions, they share fears, they show vulnerability early. They believe transparency creates safety, but transparency without power creates exposure. Machiavelli advised leaders to control how much of themselves the world sees. Not everyone deserves access to your motives. Mystery is protection. Good people rush to prove sincerity. Powerful people let others wonder. That uncertainty creates caution. Another reason good people lose: they associate danger with immorality. They think setting hard boundaries makes them bad. But boundaries are not cruelty, they are clarity. Without boundaries, your goodness becomes a resource others consume. Machiavelli understood something modern psychology confirms. People treat you the way you allow them to, and allowance is often mistaken for virtue. Being dangerous doesn't mean being loud. It means being firm, predictable in values, unpredictable in response. When people don't know how far you'll go, they stop testing you. Good people get tested constantly because they are predictable. Predictability invites exploitation. Machiavelli didn't tell rulers to act cruel. He told them to appear capable of it. Because appearance shapes behavior. When people believe consequences exist, they behave better. This is why laws work, not because people are good, but because punishment is possible. Good people resist this logic. They want voluntary cooperation. But voluntary cooperation collapses under pressure. Power endures pressure, and power requires edge.
Honesty without strategy. Good people believe honesty is always strength. They tell the truth even when silence would protect them. They reveal plans before they are secure. They speak openly, assuming openness builds trust. Machiavelli saw honesty differently. To him, honesty was not virtue by default. It was a tool. And like any tool, used at the wrong time, it cuts the one holding it. This is where good people lose power. They confuse moral honesty with strategic timing. They answer questions too quickly. They explain themselves too deeply. They reveal intentions before results exist. But information is power, and power given freely is power lost. Machiavelli warned that a ruler should never expose his full mind, not because deception is noble, but because the world exploits clarity. When others know exactly what you want, they know how to block you. Good people feel guilty withholding information. They fear being seen as manipulative. But manipulation is not hiding truth. Manipulation is using truth to control others. Silence and restraint are not lies. They are filters. Good people also believe that honesty creates loyalty. But loyalty is not built on truth alone. It is built on alignment of interest. People stay loyal when it benefits them. When honesty threatens their position, they withdraw. Machiavelli observed that those who speak too plainly invite opposition too early. Enemies form faster when intentions are visible. That is why powerful people move quietly. They announce success, not plans. Good people announce plans hoping for support. Powerful people gather support without announcement. Honesty also creates expectations. Once you say what you will do, others measure you by it. That removes flexibility. Silence keeps options alive. Machiavelli valued adaptability above purity, because rigid virtue breaks in unpredictable environments. Good people lock themselves into promises. Then reality changes and they suffer trying to remain consistent. Powerful people change direction without apology. Not because they lack morals, but because survival demands movement. Honesty without strategy turns goodness into a trap. You become predictable. Predictability invites control. Machiavelli didn't teach dishonesty. He taught selective truth. Speak when it strengthens position. Remain silent when it protects freedom. The world does not reward those who reveal everything. It rewards those who reveal enough.
Patience becomes permission. Good people are praised for patience. They are told waiting is maturity, endurance is strength. Time will reward them. Machiavelli saw the danger in this belief, because patience, when misused, does not signal virtue, it signals permission. Permission for others to move first, permission to take advantage, permission to decide the outcome. Power does not wait for fairness. It moves toward opportunity. Good people hesitate because they want certainty. They want the right moment, the perfect conditions, moral clarity. But the world rewards those who act under uncertainty. Machiavelli understood this. Decisive action reshapes reality. Waiting only reacts to it. Good people delay confrontation. They hope problems resolve themselves. But problems grow when ignored. Silence without leverage is not strategy, it is surrender. This is why good people are often bypassed. Promotions go to faster actors. Credit goes to earlier voices. Influence goes to those who claim space. Not because they were better, but because they were present. Machiavelli believed momentum matters more than intention. Once momentum is lost, regaining it costs 10 times more. Good people also fear acting too soon. They worry about being wrong. But being wrong early is often survivable. Being late is not. Because by the time clarity arrives, positions are filled, narratives are set, power has moved on. Patience also creates invisibility. While you wait quietly, others are being seen. Visibility creates opportunity. Opportunity creates leverage. Leverage creates protection. Good people stay patient and become replaceable. Machiavelli knew this trap. He warned that those who delay necessary action invite others to act for them, and those others will not act in your interest. Patience is powerful only when paired with readiness. Without readiness, patience is just fear wearing discipline's mask. Good people confuse calm with control, but control requires intervention. Silence must be broken at the right moment. Action must interrupt stagnation. Otherwise, patience trains the world to move without you.
Moral rightness is not protection. Good people believe something deeply comforting. If they are morally right, they will be protected. By rules, by systems, by others. Machiavelli rejected this belief completely, because morality does not enforce itself. Power enforces outcomes. Being right does not stop harm. Being correct does not prevent loss. Being virtuous does not create safety. Only leverage does. Good people trust systems. They believe rules will intervene. Authorities will be fair. Truth will surface. But systems are slow, and power moves fast. By the time justice arrives, damage is already done. Machiavelli observed that those who rely on righteousness often arrive too late. They wait for permission while others take position. They file complaints while others secure alliances. They appeal to principles while others apply pressure. Power responds to pressure, not appeals. Good people also assume that exposing wrongdoing automatically weakens the wrongdoer. But exposure without influence creates retaliation. Truth without protection is dangerous. Machiavelli warned that accusations must be backed by strength. Otherwise, they become invitations for counterattack. This is why whistleblowers suffer, why truth-tellers are isolated, why moral people are shocked by consequences. They assumed truth was armor. It is not. It is a weapon. And weapons require positioning. Good people also believe that being morally superior gives them authority. But authority is granted, not claimed. And it is rarely granted to those without power. Machiavelli saw that people obey those who control outcomes, not those who argue correctness. This is why corrupt leaders often survive scandals. They control resources. They control loyalty. They control consequences. Good people rely on conscience. Power relies on structure. Structure always wins. But this is not a rejection of morality. It is a warning. Morality must be defended. Goodness must be protected. Otherwise, it becomes bait. Machiavelli's lesson is simple. Never enter conflict armed only with truth. Because truth does not fight. People do. Goodness without power is self-destruction. Good people don't lose because they are good. They lose because they refuse to learn power. Machiavelli never argued that morality should be abandoned. He argued it should be armed, because goodness without power does not inspire respect. It invites exploitation. The world does not attack evil first. It attacks what cannot defend itself. Good people avoid power because they associate it with corruption. But power is not corruption. It is capacity. Capacity to protect, capacity to choose, capacity to say no. When good people reject power, they hand it to those who don't fear using it. That is the real tragedy. Machiavelli understood that ethics without influence are ignored. Values without leverage are symbolic, and symbols don't stop outcomes. Good people hope the world will meet them halfway. Powerful people understand the world moves towards strength. This is why boundaries matter. This is why consequences matter. This is why appearing capable of force protects peace. Good people believe they must always be liked. Powerful people know respect comes first. Like follows later, or not at all, and that is fine. Machiavelli's final truth is uncomfortable. If you want to remain good in a brutal world, you must learn how brutality works, not to become it, but to defend against it. Goodness should be chosen, not imposed by fear. Choice requires strength. Strength requires understanding power. So the lesson is not be less good. It is be harder to destroy, because only those who survive get to remain moral. The rest are erased, with good intentions intact.